There are words spoken from the cross that almost every person in the Western world has heard, or think they have. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. 7 words, and one of the most famous sentences in human history. And I want to show you 3 things about this verse that are almost never talked about. Things that make it far stranger, far richer, and far more useful than most of us realize. Luke 23, verse 34. Then said Jesus, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And they parted his raiment and cast lots. Luke places this as the very first thing Jesus says from the cross, before the darkness comes, before it is finished. This is moment 1, and 3 things have been misunderstood for a long time. First is the scene itself. Who is actually there? Roman soldiers following orders, carrying out a state execution, Jewish leaders who brought this charge, and a crowd. The disciples have mostly scattered. Peter is outside, having just denied Jesus 3 times. This is not an intimate moment, it's a public spectacle, in the middle of a city, during Passover, when Jerusalem's population swells to hundreds of thousands. Now here is something most people never hear in a sermon. This verse is actually missing from several of the oldest Greek manuscripts that we have, including Papyrus 75 and Codex Vaticanus, 2 of the most reliable early sources. Now, this doesn't mean that it's not authentic. Most scholars still accept it as genuinely Luke. But it means this verse has a textual history that is more complicated and more interesting than most of us were taught. The early church was wrestling with this passage, and we should too. Second, we need to look at the grammar. The Greek verb here is the phemi, in the present tense. In Greek, the present tense often describes a continuous or repeated action. Jesus was not making a one-time declaration. He was making an ongoing request, praying this perhaps repeatedly as the hours on the cross went on. And notice, he did not say, I forgive them. He said, Father, forgive them. That is the difference between a declaration and an intercession. Jesus was not pronouncing forgiveness from his own authority in the moment. He was appealing to the Father on behalf of the people who were killing him. That is a priestly act, and it fits exactly what the letter to the Hebrews says about him, that he always lives to make intercession for us. This is Illuminate Gospel Insights, a Bible study app I built for the 4 Gospels. Tap any verse and you'll get a historical context behind it, the theological reflection, and cross-references, all in one place. It's free to download, and there's a one-time pro unlock for the full library. Links are in the description. Thirdly, and this is the one that I want you to sit with. Most of us were taught that forgiveness is a feeling, something either you have or you don't. And if you don't have it, you're somehow failing. Think about someone who hurt you badly enough that you generally cannot say, I forgive them, and mean it. Maybe it's a parent, maybe a partner, a friend who betrayed you in a way that still has a pulse. And you've been told to forgive, and you know you should forgive, but the feeling won't come. What Luke 23:34 offers is a different starting point. Jesus didn't wait until he felt forgiving. He interceded. He prayed while it was still happening, with nails in his hands. He brought the people hurting him before his Father and asked for grace on their behalf. That is not a finished emotional state. That is a chosen act in an unfinished moment. You don't have to feel forgiving to begin praying for someone. And maybe the verse suggests that's exactly where it starts. 3 things most people never knew about Luke 23:34. A textual history that makes it more interesting, not less. A Greek tense that turns a declaration into an ongoing prayer. And a model for forgiveness that starts with intercession, not feelings. If you want to keep exploring the Gospels this way, the history behind the words, the grammar that changes the meanings, Illuminate Gospel Insights is a free download on iOS and Android. A one-time pro unlock for full content library. Links in the description. Subscribe for a new video every week, and I'll see you in the next one.